During a rare interview in the United States, Putin emphasized that Russia has no desire to engage in a broader conflict. Greetings, everyone. In today's video, we will delve into the remarks made by Russian President Vladimir Putin during a rare interview in the United States. Putin explicitly stated that Russia has no intentions of expanding its conflict in Ukraine to neighboring countries such as Poland and Latvia. He further highlighted that Western leaders have come to the realization that achieving a strategic victory over Russia is simply unattainable, leaving them pondering their next course of action. Additionally, Putin expressed optimism about the possibility of reaching an agreement to secure the release of Evan Gershkovich, a US journalist from the Wall Street Journal, who has been detained in Russia for almost a year on charges of espionage. Without any further delay, let us commence our discussion. In a recent interview, Russian President Vladimir Putin emphasized that while Russia will fiercely defend its interests, it has no intention of extending its conflict in Ukraine to neighboring countries such as Poland and Latvia. During his initial conversation with an American journalist since prior to Russia's incursion into Ukraine nearly 24 months ago, Putin expressed that Western leaders have acknowledged the futility of attempting to achieve a strategic victory over Russia, and are now contemplating their next steps. "We are fully prepared to engage in this dialogue," he stated. In addition, Putin expressed his belief in the potential for a consensus to be reached in order to secure the release of Evan Gershkovich, an American journalist from the Wall Street Journal, who has been held in detention in Russia for close to a year and is currently awaiting trial on charges related to espionage. During a lengthy interview with conservative talk show host Tucker Carlson in Moscow on Tuesday, Putin shared his comments, which were later aired on tuckercarlson.com. When questioned about the possibility of deploying Russian troops to Poland, a member of NATO, Putin responded, "The only scenario in which Russia would consider attacking Poland is if Poland were to initiate an attack on Russia. This is because Russia does not have any vested interest in Poland, Latvia, or any other country for that matter. It would be illogical for Russia to engage in such actions when there is no underlying motive." These statements were made by Putin in Russian and later translated into English. Prior to discussing Russia's relationships with Ukraine, Poland, and other nations, Putin delivered extensive remarks. A significant portion of the interview was dedicated by Putin to expressing his dissatisfaction with Ukraine. He claimed that Ukraine was on the brink of reaching a resolution to cease hostilities during discussions in Istanbul in April 2022. However, he alleged that Ukraine backed out of the agreement as soon as Russian troops withdrew from the vicinity of Kyiv. Putin remarked, "Let them now contemplate how to reverse the current situation." He added, "We have no objections to that. It would be amusing if it weren't so disheartening. The incessant mobilization in Ukraine, the hysteria, the internal issues, eventually these factors will culminate in an agreement." According to Putin, the United States should prioritize its own internal matters instead of concerning itself with external affairs. He suggests that it would be more beneficial for both countries to engage in negotiations and reach an agreement. Putin acknowledges the current state of affairs and emphasizes that Russia will persistently defend its interests. Since Russia's invasion in February 2022, the United States has provided Ukraine with over $110 billion in aid. However, Washington has firmly stated that it is not willing to engage in discussions on Putin's conditions. The last time Putin participated in an official interview with a US media outlet was in October 2021, during a conversation with CNBC's Hadley Gamble. As US lawmakers engage in discussions regarding increased funding for Ukraine's war efforts, the Carlson interview coincided with these deliberations. Simultaneously, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made the decision to replace the highly regarded army chief with his ground forces commander on the very same day. The progression of a bill containing a substantial amount of new funding, totaling $61 billion for Ukraine, was facilitated by a procedural vote in the US Senate. However, its future remains uncertain in the House of Representatives, which is predominantly controlled by Republicans. Many members, especially those closely aligned with former President Donald Trump, have previously voted against providing aid to Ukraine. President Putin disclosed that discussions between Russian and American intelligence agencies regarding the Gershkovich case have taken place and some advancements have been made. In an exchange of proposals, Putin put forward the idea that Germany should release an individual convicted of the assassination of a Chechen dissident in Berlin in 2019, without explicitly mentioning the individual's name. Putin expressed optimism, citing previous fruitful negotiations, and anticipated a positive outcome for this particular matter, emphasizing the need for both parties to reach a mutual agreement. In previous instances, Russia and the United States have reached agreements to exchange high-profile prisoners, with the most recent occurrence taking place in December 2022. During this exchange, Moscow released Brittany Griner, a prominent American basketball player who had been convicted of a drug-related offense in Russia, in return for Viktor Bout, a Russian arms trafficker. According to the Kremlin, President Putin consented to the Carlson interview due to the distinct approach taken by the former Fox News host, which stood in contrast to the perceived one-sided coverage of the Ukraine conflict by numerous Western news organizations. Carlson's close ties to Trump, the anticipated Republican Party candidate in the upcoming November US presidential election, are widely acknowledged. Trump has voiced his dissatisfaction with the substantial amount of aid that has been sent to Kyiv, while also urging for a de-escalation of the conflict in Ukraine, a war that the Biden administration has shown strong support for the Zelensky government. Carlson, for his part, has expressed his belief that a significant portion of Western media coverage regarding the war is unfairly biased towards Kyiv. To support our channel's growth and ensure broader awareness, kindly hit the like and subscribe buttons. This will help us reach more individuals and disseminate valuable information. Thank you in advance.